Hello everybody, I'm the Wasteland Viking and welcome to Dagon. Let's look into some settings here. Motion blur is off, thank you. Audio. So it's sound, so I can't actually adjust the music, which is fine. Sure. Anyway, for those who don't know, well, Dagon is part of the Cthulhu mythos. Well, he's a member of the Cthulhu mythos. He is the Lord of the Deep Ones, for those who don't know. But, oh, what's this? The Hearing Lake? I don't know what that is. It's not one of the DLCs, so I'm guessing it's maybe another game from the devs. But anyway, Dagon is the Lord of the Deep Ones. He is part of the Holy Trinity of the Deep Ones, which comprise of him, Mother Hydra, and Cthulhu. So they kind of bleed in together like that and whatnot. I haven't actually seen much of the game, to be honest. I remember watching somebody play it, but it was forever ago, so I don't remember story-wise. I remember some scenes here and there, but it's not important enough to be like, oh my god, I know what's going on. Oh, yeah. And Dagon, I think this is actually based on the story that Lovecraft wrote called Dagon. I think, or it's a representation of it in the developer's own way of telling the story rather than, you know, copy and paste from the book in game form. But anyway, let's get in there. Trivia. Okay, so I'm guessing there's going to be some, like, Easter egg type of things going on here. But anyway, let's go. Oh, there we go. Dagon is a faithful interaction adaptation of H.P Lovecraft's work focused on story and atmosphere. It's one of the things that I like about Lovecraft stories, that the developers actually care to add those things in there, especially atmosphere. Like, the story could be meh for me to enjoy it, but if the atmosphere is there on point with it, thumbs up. I love it. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. Okay, so it's not open world, which I'm totally okay with.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Okay. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Sorry, guys. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder Sign. Is that the Elder Sign, though? I know that's, like, the leaf kind of thing that's on, like, Call of Cthulhu, on the backs of the books and stuff like that. They've got that symbol on it. The Lovecraft, you know, subreddit also has the symbol, so I guess it's an Elder Sign. I'm used to seeing the Elder Sign as in, like, the star with the eye in the middle. But I guess that's all the same. So right trigger to, or right click to zoom, or to focus. You can also access all the found facts later. They will be available in the main menu, as we saw. Okay. Oh, so you don't actually move, you just move and click. Okay.
Supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable. I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Wow, voice acting is freaking amazing.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate.
Alright.
When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death. It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the
I wanted to look for more.
that the packet of which I was supercargo
Alright.
fell
That's fine.
victim to the German Sea Raider.
Can I not go back?
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Okay. So the guy in the story who's writing, I'm guessing he's a Great War, World War I veteran. We're treated well, treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners. Okay, so their ship was taken or abandoned? Ooh, the Huns. Got an achievement, the Seeker. The Huns were Central Asian nomads who established dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans. That makes sense. In order to emphasize their brutality. However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on 27th July 1900 before they embarked to China. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given. Prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago, the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves, one that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and customs of war adopted during the first Hague Convention of 1899. Interesting. Where do we go? I do not know.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Okay.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
All right. Oh. So far, the sound effects are nice.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
I thought it was a guitar for a second.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude.
He's lying
upon
down.
the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Oh my god, what the fuck? Ugh. I mean, okay, I expected this to a point, but not like this. This looks like the Leviathan from frickin' Call of Cthulhu.
At last I awoke. It was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Alright, so far, voice acting is amazing. Whoever did this was just amazing. But one of the key notes about Lovecraft's writing in general, kind of what adds to the atmosphere and the feeling of his worlds and his stories and whatnot, is actually how he described things. I mean, 1900s, early 1900s. I mean, and also he wrote ever since he was like 7 or 8, like extremely young. So as far as knowing how to put words together and stuff like that, he did it for a very long time. I think he passed away when he was like 40 or something like that. Very young. But for the time, it was sort of normal, I think. I don't remember. But anyway, the way that he wrote his stuff and put certain words and adjectives, verbs, it's more adjectives, like descriptions of things in general, that made his stories kind of come to life in a very horrifying way, honestly.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
But that's how the feel's supposed to be.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
Yeah. Oh. And like for example, one of the first stories that I actually had read, I actually haven't finished it. It's a short one, obviously, but the Dunwich Horror. The story took place in 1928, 24. I think it was 28. But yeah, the way that he wrote the stuff, it was crazy.
For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't think of this as frickin' soil. It's just the black viscousy grossness. But it's really cool how they have done it.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Oh, wow, that's a new one.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
God dang. Like, the way that the story is being placed and, like, presented is great.
There was
Yeah.
nothing within hearing.
I
and
don't
nothing
have
in
words.
sight Save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
Yeah.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Sorry, I'm not saying a whole lot. He's doing all the talking, and I'm okay with that. But, wow. Oh. Oh.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
Oh, what the fuck? If it had eyes and teeth, I would think of it as a Shoggoth. I mean, it still could be a Shoggoth for all I know. Okay, what am I looking at?
Through some
right.
unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and also I think he's, as far as the theme with all of this, sorry, I'm kind of just spilling out things in general while he's in between talking. I'm trying to react to what he's doing. But, it's interesting hearing the original writing. I'm guessing that's what it is, because no modern person would say some of these words. But, it's like the character here, I don't know the name of him, but the character here is trying to rationalize how the world right now as he sees it could be.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
Oh, so he's straining his ears to actually hear anything, but he just doesn't hear anything. Even with, like, these, like, tendril moving creatures and stuff like that, he still can't hear anything, which is crazy. Oh, and also the one above him, that's so cool. I mean, terrifying, but it's cool.
Were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things? For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for travelling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Alright. You do you, man. Are there any things of trivia I've probably missed, maybe?
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
Third morning? So he was sat in that, like, shithole for 3 days. Ew. This tubular creature looks like the... at the end of Bloodborne, when you do, like, the true ending and defeat the moon presence, and there's that tube thing that the doll holds. That's what this looks like.
The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Yeah, you got me. Yeah, it looks like... It's interesting seeing this. It kind of reminds me of, like, how a lot of people... Well, I mean, depict in movies and whatnot the Sahara, where it's just this barren wasteland of just hills and stuff of sand, except in this one, it's just all black viscous goo. It just sounds so... Ugh.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
See a desert. What? Is that like a mouth? Like predator mouth? Skeleton, bone, foot thing? So I don't know why I'm coughing so much, but anyway. Yeah, what the fuck? Like, those look like mandibles here. This looks like a foot, maybe, but with like unless that's like the whole body, and for some reason bony. I mean, I guess it's not much different from our bodies as far as... Oh! Crabs? And then a tentacle thing. I wish I could move and, like, look around corners and shit. That'd be fun, but... I know this is a very linear path, but... I wanted to see what was behind the rock.
That night...
Oh, it's getting bigger.
The following day, still
Why would you camp here?
The hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Yeah. It looked like roughly about midday when in the last scene. And then you go for a few hours when sun starts setting and you're much closer than it looked like.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface.
Yeah, where'd that be though?
Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
I mean, survival, yes, you would sleep in this, but I would not sleep in it whatsoever. Fuck that.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night.
I can have a guess.
Ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain.
Eastern Plain.
I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again.
So this is obviously the stuff, the reason of what we saw at the beginning with the morphine and whatnot was, this is the reason why he is taking morphine.
And in the glow of the moon, I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
Right? But why? If you've been unwise to travel by day, does that mean... Well, I mean, it means he shouldn't have done it by day. I mean, I guess, like, heat and stuff. I mean, because, yeah. I don't know if it's a desert. But I don't know, at night it gets really cold, too. Because,
without the glare
yeah.
of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Survival shit. Heat makes you more exhausted, right?
I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Also, as far as the brightness, I hope you guys can see it. I'm trying to keep it as atmospheric as possible. The sun's glaring in my face to a point, so it's kind of hard for me to see stuff. But, looks good enough.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
Vague horror. What, like, vague horror is in, like, not... Well, I mean, it's just an interesting word to put in front of horror. Like, it's like, oh, it's not that scary. And then you turn around and it's like, no, it's actually vague horror. There isn't much to it. It's not that horrifying. You know what I mean? It's just interesting how to put the words together.
I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon.
Pit doesn't sound fun. Unless it's a mosh pit.
The moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
That thing's big and deep, if that's the case.
I felt myself on the edge of the world.
Huh. Yeah, I don't blame you, dude.
Peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost.
The way that it's, in with the, what's the word? I don't have the word in my head, but the way that it's presented, is Paradise Lost like a book of the time, or a silent film, or whatever at the time? I don't know.
Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
Dude. Satan and darkness in the same sentence is not good.
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Must be freaking, like, obviously it's terrifying looking into an abyss of nothing, and even, like, you're relying on the freaking, I mean, it's a full moon, so it's relatively bright. Well, it's not even it's not even a full moon, excuse me, sorry, I just bumped my mic there. It's crazy. Like, there's nothing past that point that you know of.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent. Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Like, while he's saying this stuff, I'm paying, like, the words I don't understand 100%. I mean, I understand story-wise, but, like, some of the words just, like, I don't get it. I'm just listening to the dude's voice. It's freaking amazing. Narrating character
Urged on by
stuff is awesome.
definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
What am I looking at? An obelisk? A door? What is that?
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
Yeah, Stygian. Ugh.
All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me.
I'm assuming that's the moon reflecting on it.
an object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Oh, so oh, I guess we're just like on the inner ridge of the crater thing. I don't know what to expect.
It was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
Huh?
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
Yeah, it's definitely not natural. It's for sure carved.
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Scrutiny, so something that's even outside of the normal. You know what I mean? Wait. I mean, unless that's a sharp angle, I guess the moon could still be reflecting on that.
For despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young.
Oh, I see. So far from a taking of the story in its presentation and probably how it was actually written in the book, I'm guessing these are legit lines from the story. Like whoever's narrating this is actually reading from, you know, the story and whatnot. But anyway, in the story and such, it seems like it's like the deep ones. It's ocean stuff. My deepest fear, I think that's one reason why I'm fascinated with shit like this, is because it's outside of heights. It's probably my second most feared thing. Is the deep ocean or just water in general. Like, if it's something like a swimming pool and it's like controlled, I'm fine for the most part. Except when I was a kid, I was drowned a couple times at like some water parks and stuff. But so it's just terrifying to me in general. So, but seeing it like this, where the dude, so he was on the boat on the rowboat, doing his thing on top of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere, and then he woke up one morning and then all of a sudden there's no water, but he's on the seabed. That's kind of what it seems like it's depicting here and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
Perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
Yeah, monolith, obelisk kind of thing.
Whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, another... I mean, Dagon, it's deep ones that have done this. But another creature in the mythos that has known for building even just structures underwater in general and stuff like that are Shoggoths. They tied in a lot with deep ones. They had a very coexisting relationship in their societies and whatnot. Shoggoths originally were just this ball of slimes with eyeballs and teeth. I think mostly just eyeballs, actually, no teeth. But they were slaves to the elder things, which were, you know, pod-like creatures with fins and stuff like that, and they flew across the stars and all that kind of stuff and landed here on Earth, and did their stuff and whatnot. They're more in detail with the Mountains of Madness as far as that story is concerned. And also you learn about it in the game Conarium a lot. Anyway, Shoggoths used to be their slaves, and then... Sorry, I know the track is looping, I'm talking a lot. But it's just kind of give a perspective of the world that this story is being put into from even just creatures of the mythos in general. Like, you don't have to know the story to know what could be going on, potentially. You know what I mean? It's cool. I've never read the story. I mean, I am right now because of the narration and stuff like that, but still, it's pretty interesting.
Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
How? I can't see a damn thing. How can you see it? Oh, I guess, yeah, going further into the crater. Great idea. Oh, what the?
Now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps.
Oh, I just noticed that.
In the chasm.
Yeah, those are deep ones. Looks like different sea creatures in general. I'm trying to see if there's a way to kind of not look at the reflection, but there isn't. In the middle, oh, I think the middle is the monolith. Is the thing that's depicted there here? I don't know.
Revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions, and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith.
Okay. What are those things in the middle there, like the faces? I mean, it might be the Holy Trinity.
On whose surface
the deep ones.
Trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
I'm guessing that's Cthulhu in the middle. Yeah, the writing of the Elder Things and Brulayan, I think is the name of the language, but like the language that they speak in Cthulhu tongue or whatever.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
Yeah. I wish that glare wasn't there. I'm glad I got rid of motion blur because that'd be very hard to see.
But whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
I hear that word in the spellbound from Lacuna Coil stuff gets playing in my head. Sorry, musical tangent. Oh, well, let's look at this, shall we? Storytelling methods. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness and the Nameless City, probably Relay, I think it's actually said. Journals and characters' notes, The Shadow Out of Time, and The Haunter of the Dark. Oh. Damn it, I shouldn't be... I shouldn't be playing these games because some things are bringing up from the Call of Cthulhu game that my dad's running. Anyway, islands emerging from the ocean, the Call of Cthulhu, were fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies. Migo. Oh, Migo, yeah, they're the... I forgot what their purpose in the mythos are, but in the Worshipper in Darkness, it's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order not to spoil the ending. Thank you very much, developers. That's very considerate of you. Rather than be like, hey, let's throw all this information at the player.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré.
Oh, so is this like the
I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
Is this like a depiction mural of like the hierarchy of the Cthulhu mythos? Hell, maybe even the Cthulhu cult? I don't know. I kind of don't think so, but it could be. But it's like people worshipping at this monolith, the ocean, and then higher ups. You know, I'm guessing the top one is Cthulhu because it's got the octopoid face with the... I forgot what the... like the main description of him is, but you know, the humanoid like arms and whatnot in the wings. Maybe the middle thing there is Dagon, mayhaps. It's at the bottom. It looks like there's a big tail.
The creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto,
Yeah.
or paying homage at some monolithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail.
Yeah, because it's hard to describe, and then once you start doing that, you kind of feel yourself going mad. And some people either continue going into it and finding interest in delving into it, or they just stop. And they're just like, nope, this is bullshit, this shenanigans, just leave it. I'm not going to try to say it.
For the mere
Or try to,
remembrance makes
you know,
me grow faint.
describe it.
Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
Yeah, what are those? Well, that looks like a gray man, so like aliens. And then other faces of sorts.
They were
I don't know.
abominably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips.
Yeah. That's the description of deep ones in general. Could that be a hybrid on the top?
Glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background.
Yeah, that's interesting that even the people who chiseled this made it like either they did on purpose or it's because they still don't know how to describe even in art form what the entities look like. So naturally it just makes it look horrific.
For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Yeah.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size.
It's only been like almost 40 minutes and I've felt like I've been playing this for an hour. There's so much stuff going into it, it's so cool.
But in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
Right. Yeah, that's also another thing too, in general. Deep Ones, with their tribes and whatnot, they actually talked to humans and they did trading deals and whatnot with them, based on their favor and disposition towards either the humans or the humans towards the Deep Ones.
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown
Eras.
Neanderthal man was born.
Interesting. Yeah, star of the show right here.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist.
Like if you were to show that to like an actual anthropologist, scientist, any of those kinds of things, or film fields of study and whatnot, this would fucking make somebody just either terrified of it or want to figure out what it's about.
I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me.
Oh yeah. So another thing about his writing, it's Old English, so certain words like that mean something totally different than what they do now. So if anybody's offended, it's not what it actually means. It just means weird. Back then it meant weird. Well, I mean, okay, never mind. I'm just going to stop there.
Then, suddenly, I saw it. With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh, the music doesn't help. What the fuck?
Loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
What happened? The thing flicked there and you got like a second vision. Yeah, I would think too.
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Whoa. Yeah. Okay. Not even looking back, just fucking booking up the mountain. Or the crater.
I
Oh, well,
believe
what the
I
hell?
sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
Yeah, that's definitely madness right there. Let's friggin' go. I don't think that was Dagon. It was definitely just a normal deep one.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat.
Oh, that was just thunder.
At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
The hell? Okay, pass out again. Cool.
When I came out of the shadows,
Oh.
I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Wait, how? Well,
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention.
so... Okay, I have no body, but, so...
Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing.
So, either we're hospitalized because of, you know, insanity, delirium, cuckoo-ness, or... Well, also, I was probably dehydrated and everything, or the character was probably dehydrated and everything, so it's like... For just carrying until... well enough to be able to do stuff,
Nor
you know,
did I
move
deem
around.
it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Yeah, that's... I guess when he was delirious, in that state of mind, it's like he was trying to explain what he saw, but obviously nobody knew what he was talking about. So it's either the crazy people or the people that go mad. They're, especially him, it's like, do I keep talking about it when they come to, of course, or do I just not say anything and just leave it all to myself? I'm guessing he just kept it with himself rather than trying to explain what was going on. Okay.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist
Oh.
and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Oh, Philistinian. Ooh. I don't remember what part of ancient history that is. Palestine. Isn't that, is it like pre-Greek? No, I don't remember. Pre-Roman? I don't remember. That's definitely different. Of Dagon, the fish god. Okay. Anything else I can look at? Not just this. Dagon, or Dagon, was the main deity of the Palestinians worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. So Middle East, so like, yeah, like Mesopotamian region. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem, and an underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word adag means fish. Oh, okay. So, yeah, okay. In H.P. Lovecraft's work, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. That's right, so it's not the Cthulhu cult, but it's the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Right, okay. Interesting. Anything else? Oh. So is this me studying it, or am I now...
Soon perceiving that he was
Ooh.
hopelessly conventional.
Necronomicon. August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and anthropologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic. Ooh, okay. To the Cthulhu Mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. So yeah, the idea of cosmic horror and Lovecraft horror, or his writings in general, there's no such thing as good versus evil. It was, well, I mean, not in the traditional sense as like this guy who put Catholicism and that idea of like the Bible, good versus evil, into the mythos or the stories and things like that. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misrepresented in today's culture, which makes sense. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu Mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Okay. And also, I guess, like, I understood that Lovecraft didn't want to have this mythology or anything like that, but the term Cthulhu Mythos was defined so that it was easy to put it into a box of a genre, pretty much. And just makes it easy to, you know, understand where it came from as far as the lines of stories and how it's put together. Rather than be like, oh yeah, this one creature. But it's like, which part of a timeline or story do these creatures come from? It's like the Cthulhu Mythos. It's like, oh, okay, so it's pertained to this type of actual, you know, writing. I think. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's what it is in general. Oh, okay, I can look around now. What the fuck? Okay, what am I looking at here? Oh, right there. Hello? And as far as like the writing with Cthulhu stuff in general, there's very much tropes and themes, elements and whatnot that make it what it is.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
I mean, I know that John Carpenter's film The Thing is kind of was inspired by this kind of stuff.
I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
Right.
So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Wow. Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though he used to smoke when he was 12 in order to look and feel like an adult. In his correspondence with friend Reinhard Kleiner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. I mean, was that a style back then? Like boys, like young men or whatnot, before they became men or whatever, usually wore shorts or that form of type of clothing. And also Lovecraft did live in a lifestyle of poverty for sure. But anyway, he also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by his letter to Zelia Brown, dated 13th February 1928. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intended to, having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate natural equipoise, I don't know, of the evolved human intellect and imagination. Wow, this, yeah, it's interesting. He didn't do well in school. I mean, he was also bullied. He was known to be very different in the way that he spoke, in the way that he looked, dressed, all that kind of stuff. So he felt alienated and kind of put himself in an isolated kind of state. Which is part of the reason why he even wrote the stories the way that he did. Like when he moved to New York, I think to marry his fiancée at the time. I don't remember her name or anything like that, but they were married for very long. They got divorced like a couple of years after or something like that. I don't remember the time frame or anything like that. But when he lived up in New York, when he was from, Providence, Rhode Island, he felt very out of place in the big city and stuff like that. So that's part of another reason why he wrote his things that way. And also, honestly, it was back in the day, he was straight up racist. So any of that kind of stuff. So for him to feel like, coming from the background that he did, and feels like, our brains were evolved to be intelligent and imaginative. So drinking alcohol, confusing that, I mean, I guess makes sense. But also at the time, certain things happened, like prohibition happened. So no, it couldn't be bought in a normal social standing. You had to be of class, or even in certain establishments, they're just like, hey, no alcohol. Like it was illegal. But anyway, drinking excited my personal repugnance. Hence, I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I'm rather in favor of prohibition. See, the prohibition of any one antisocial force as well as of any other. So he definitely had his preferences, but he's like, people could do whatever the hell they want. They do them, I will do me. Like, he was that kind of mindset. But the way that he wrote and the way that he presented himself, it seemed like he was more on the side of forcing his opinions and beliefs on other people, but without actually directly like preaching to them, you know what I mean? Source: The Spirit of Revision, Lovecraft's Letters to Zelia Brown, Reed Bishop. Hey, Bishop's my last name. H.P. Lovecraft, Sean Branney, and Andrew Lemus. St? Is that? It's not Saint. Joshi. I don't know. Okay. Okay, more morphine we take.
I asked myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm.
So now he's questioning if it actually was real or not, and if he's seen it and stuff like that, so surely it must be a real thing.
A mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man of war.
Huh, interesting.
This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Ah, yeah. That's definitely a thing that has been presented in Lovecraft's work. Deep ones could be grown to extreme sizes. So like from, infant size to normal adult size to fucking just huge. That was a cool sound.
The end is near.
What the fuck? Wait, what am I supposed to do?
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it. It
Okay.
shall not find me.
What am I doing? I can't move from side to side at all.
God, that hand. The window. The window.
What? We hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in our little pool of cosmic horror. We would appreciate it if you took a moment to rate Dagon and check out our other games and DLCs. Yeah, that's what I have. But like the little glass bottle, I think that was actually another original story by Lovecraft, and then the Eldritch box. I don't know. Anyway. Well, that was fun. Very atmospheric, short. That's kind of the idea of why I wanted to do this. But wait, didn't I pick some up? Oh yeah, the Huns. So there was way more that I missed. What the hell? So I've got 4, 8, 18 left? What the hell? Okay, at least I got one from each line, at least, I guess. Wow, alright. That's about as much time as I have today. I'll definitely come back to this and we can do some trivia hunting. I think that'd be fun. But yeah, I just wanted to give this one kind of some love in general. I'll have the link in the description. It's free to play. It's just the one DLC, which was like $5. So it's cheap to pick it up if you want to give it a try and look for more of the trivia stuff and kind of immerse yourself a little bit more into the stories or story in general. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Sorry I did a lot of talking and whatnot, but it's a huge interest of mine, like extreme interest of mine. So that's kind of why I've been drifting my channel into more of this kind of stuff than what I used to do, which I will go back to, but just not yet. Not yet. I'm kind of having this sit on the burner for a bit. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun, obviously. Atmosphere was thick. I loved it. The voice acting was phenomenal. I wonder who did the voice. I didn't even see who did it. I'll have to look him up and, see if I could give him some credit one way or another. But anyway, yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm lost for words. It was just amazing. I'm guessing it told the story extremely well, and the way that they all put it together. I'm excited to see what more of this developer team is going to present in the future. I'm guessing Tales of Herring Lake is probably another Lovecraftian cosmic horror thing. It might be their own story, or it's actually another representation of a Lovecraft story, but I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and yeah, so link in the description. I'll also be linking my Discord in the description for updates for future videos. If you haven't joined yet, that would be awesome if you did, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.